I built my career out of machining. I've been a machinist my whole life. And during those years, I've trained a lot of apprentices to become journeymen. Journeyman is a funny term. It comes from Germany. And what it means is a journeyman is someone who you start him out young and you move him from factory to factory. As soon as he gets good, you move him to another company. And you move him around. And what he's supposed to do is learn from each company and learn the different ways that people do things so that he can figure out the best way for himself. That's the true term of a journeyman. I kind of look at these breakdown hunts like that. When we go and we hunt different areas, and we hunt with different people, it ain't about me teaching as much for me as it is about me learning. It's about me going there, seeing how these people hunt different, seeing little different techniques they have, how they have success out of it, seeing what they have to deal with that's different, like the pressure from dog hunting, from different styles of what's allowed on their public property. And when you see that stuff, you know, you see it in the extreme, you can compare it when you run into things like that back home. And it makes you an all-around better hunter to actually experience different things in different places. Even if it's places that you think might be non-destinations for most people, you can learn a lot by conquering that area and learning how to hunt it. On this hunt, I'm not going to go. Rick's going to go on his own. He's going to take his own little journey. And he's going to go down to Mississippi and meet a couple of Mississippi boys who are going to teach him a thing or two, and maybe Rick will teach them a thing or two. And it'll be fun to watch the outcome and watch what happens. You know, when I heard he was going to Mississippi, the first thing I thought was heavy pressure. And one thing about heavy pressure is the beast philosophies shine. It all goes back into those overlooked spots, those areas in the corners up by the roads, the spots just off to the side where nobody looks. The more the pressure, the more you see that. When I went on my journey to Michigan, in Michigan, everybody told me, you won't find overlooked spots here. There's too much pressure. You know what? I found way more overlooked spots there than I do here. There's a thing to learn in every terrain you go to. I think you'll enjoy this show. It's kind of cool. So let's join Rick and his friends and see what happens in Mississippi. We met Cody and Michael at Deer Fest last fall. Was it August?
Yes.
They came up and they were helping out with the booth. Uncle Lou had invited them along, and we were there selling tree stands and stealth strips.
Yep.
And they're big fans of the Beast. They have a small YouTube page.
Mm-hmm. Light them up.
Light 'em Up Outdoors. Yeah, you should check it out. It's pretty cool. It's small but cool. And they're from Mississippi. And you know, you spend a lot of time talking at deer shows.
Oh yeah.
And they were really pushing us to come down to Mississippi. And we've been doing a lot of running around lately and trying new areas and stuff. And it sounded fun. But my year was pretty much booked up, and Rick really wanted to go. And I think he went down there.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Beginning of December, I went down there for the rut, and it was without going with Dan, it was I had to be in a different mindset to go down there, because you're always
take control of everything.
Yeah, you take control.
Like it or not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a huge high density, but there are quality bucks here. You've just got to hunt them down, and there's tremendous amounts of pressure with a low deer density.
We don't have really, really great buck numbers, which is why a lot of you guys, if you come to Mississippi and hunt, you won't see a whole lot of signs,
right.
But they are here, and there are quality deer here.
Right.
You just got to get away from it.
Seems like a lot of our deer are nocturnal as well, just because there is so much pressure around. Everywhere in the big woods, the hardwoods, you know, there's going to be pressure, or four-wheeler riding or anything like that, because you can recreational four-wheeler ride any lake around here. So, that adds a lot of pressure to the place.
Sure does.
So, like we were talking about earlier, that's why I think these deer stay down in those bottoms up along the buckbrush and things like that for that reason.
Yeah, because a lot of people tend to hunt where they can easy access right before the two, get their climbing stand in. But I know
That's the traditional way.
That's exactly right. Yep.
But Mississippi and even more the southern states are a cool destination for guys that hunt more Midwest and up north because you guys ruts usually the first week of November.
First week in November, yeah. And I'm here. I got a muzzle loader. It's the first time I've ever used a gun during rut.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a great opportunity for you.
Yeah.
That's a great opportunity
I need
for
it.
There you go. Hey, me and you both. That's a good opportunity for, like Michael was saying, for you guys up north. Come down, hunt the southern states with a gun. Come down here and enjoy it. It makes it a lot more enjoyable. And you're going to have to grind, even though you got a muzzleloader rifle in your hand. But it can be done.
Yeah,
can be done.
I don't feel like I know a lot of people won't come here because they think about pressure and the smaller deer and whatnot. But I think once you get down here, and even you, as we start reaching and getting out on the public and stuff, you're going to see that there's not as much pressure as what people think. It is heavily pressured, but it's spotty. Yeah, Thanksgiving weekend, obviously, our gun season opened Thanksgiving weekend, so everybody's out for a week, and then you're gonna have your more serious people out through.
And they don't do drives here during guns.
No, very. If anybody,
they're just hunting the field edges too, right?
Yes, pretty much.
So they're really not hunting bedding here.
No, that's one thing me and my wife talked about. We do not think anybody's caught on to as far as hunting bedded deer. Now, there's people out there.
Or B-style,
Yeah, B-style hunting. Yeah. Nobody really uses those B-style tactics yet here.
Right.
Hasn't caught on. So
now I have seen one or two, like I've found old deer stands, and I'm thinking, man, this guy was in a good spot. You know, I'm talking about it's been there for years. Old metal stands that trees grown around. So somebody at one point knew what they were doing, but overall, the how it feels is,
Unfortunately, it is 72 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually in the high 50s right now, but like Rick said, it's 70, so it's kind of warm.
It's warm.
So we were coming off the tail end of the rut, and theirs is just the beginning.
Exactly. And it was quite exciting to go down there and hunt another rut.
See new terrain, see new, and I think kind of, a challenge to yourself, someplace new you haven't been to, and have them show you some things, and maybe you show them some things about back home. And
that's what we did, basically.
So mainly the challenge, and two guys that you got along with, you liked at the show.
We hunted every day, and we hunted it hard, scouted hard.
So there's something about me who I always choose these hunts where you can't win. It's like my old man used to always tell me, only for a different reason, you pick fights. You can't win, Dan. You gotta pick fights you can win. You can't take on three big dudes just because they said something bad about you, And I got that in me, where I like hard places personally, So I like traveling around a bit, and I think we're going to do a little more of that in the future here. We haven't done a lot of that in the past. But what makes me choose to go with somebody or to go hunt with somebody is they got to be a good person, a fun person to be around. Nobody wants to go hunt with a butt, right? They don't, or a knob, right? Trying to find politically correct words, but it's hard to tell because everybody's nice online and stuff. But you get a lot of invites and stuff. But I like to get to know a guy a little bit before I go, because I don't want to get him trapped in something where somebody maybe they're not, morally the way I would like it, or they're not ethically. Maybe they break some laws and stuff. And I don't want to be involved in that. And you might get down there and they have a whole different style of hunting. Like they go, they hunt over bait piles and stuff, and they don't want you ruining their area by moving around outside of the bait piles and stuff. And you didn't know that going in. You have to have conversations with these people, get to know them and stuff. And you got to know these people at the show, right? And you talk hunting, and that's how I did it. I hunt with these people and see how their mindset is before I go hunt with somebody or whatever. But I love too, not just to go experience hunting, but to go experience people, places, traditions.
This little cemetery here, every time I walk past it gives me the heebie-jeebies. I was telling Rick a story. I come in here real early one morning. It was probably about 3:30 walking past, and I got a just terrible feeling. Turned my butt around and walked back. So I've always been just a little bit too nervous because I don't mess with the dead. You know, I don't mess with the dead.
Respect it.
Right, there you go, respect them. So anyway, I've never come up and actually checked it out up close. But dude, these dates are from like the 1800s. And I don't know, Rick said it could have been back during the polio pandemic. There's some tombstones here that read that they were alive for 3 years and past. And there's like 10, 15 headstones here, so
Yeah.
that's wicked. It's just, it's literally in the middle of the woods, y'all, like in the middle of nothing. A cemetery should not be here, but that gets me to thinking what was here back in the 1800s.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Pretty cool. It could have been a house.
I mean, that
somewhere.
road probably wasn't even there in the
Oh,
1850s.
no, heck no. Could have just been a little spot in the woods. They just said, hey, this is
Yeah.
where our cemetery's going to be. Pretty cool stuff, so we want to show you guys that. Just, again, welcome to Mississippi.
That's
Pretty
the
wicked.
headstone with the children, right?
Yep.
That's a big one for 1850, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is.
All the other ones are really small.
My question is, when that thing broke off, who came back and put it on there? See that?
Somebody that respected it.
I wonder if somebody has hit this. Or it's probably tree limbs falling that have bent these up, I guess.
Oh, sure, there's trees growing right in the middle.
Crazy stuff, guys. Come to the woods in Mississippi. You never know what you're going to find. Oh, and by the way, there's another
Oh, yeah,
cell cam right there,
right there.
within 100 yards.
Right there.
I mean, there's more to hunting than just killing deer.
Absolutely.
And the people, the atmosphere, all that ties into it.
Can't get in, Rick.
What happened, man? You what, can't get in? What happened?
I locked the keys in the truck.
Are you serious?
See them right there, look. And it's old school, no clicker.
Oh. You pulled it in.
Yeah, I don't know how I done that. I wasn't even in a hurry. I guess we were just bumping our gums too much, and I forgot 'em.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us. We'll get her open tomorrow.
Yeah, leave it parked
I'll
here.
call AAA and they'll get it done.
Get all the valuables out of the back and leave it parked here tonight.
Yep.
So a lot of times we go into these places and we expect certain things. I know I'm guilty of that. This is what I expect when I go into a place. I expect the terrain to be a certain way. I expect the hunting to be a certain way. I get in my mind what I envision is going to happen. Seldom is that what happens. When you went into this, what did you think your hunting was going to be like? What were you imagining going into? Terrain-wise, the position of the rut, that kind of thing.
I imagine going down there with a little bit more of a deer activity.
All right, guys, so we just got back to the truck. We all just met back up. Unfortunately, nobody saw anything. However, me and Rick both hunted over fresh scrapes.
That was not the case. We really had to search for sign. That was one aspect that was different. Definitely not like, we think it's here hard in Wisconsin here. I was hunting my 14-day rut here, and I saw more in one day than I saw in 5 days there.
Yeah, I'm thinking we should do some scouting now.
In the morning, yes.
Yeah, well,
for
it's
sure.
cool.
Yes. Get out, cover some ground, hit some downwind, try and find some scrapes or some fresh rubs,
Yeah.
and get in there and hunt it. I think that's a good game plan. Instead of just going and sitting blindly, trying to get some intel somewhere.
Yeah, we just got to get closer to bedding.
I agree, especially with the temperatures up.
Yeah.
They got a 20 deer per square mile, 7 does to 1 buck. So if you think about that, it's about $3 per square mile. And let's say a good buck, it's probably less than 1 per square mile.
I think what I've noticed is like when you go into an area to where there's like some places obviously hold more bucks, mature bucks, or more bucks period, just because of the habitat, right? So when you go into certain areas that have more bucks, you see more, like, you're going to see more scrapes, more rubs.
So it's
like a competition.
Oh, competition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like at the least, there must be
So that's
several bucks.
probably why here, since he looked it up and there's a 7-to-1 doe buck ratio.
Yeah.
So that's probably why the rubs are down.
Let's see, they have multiple bucks a year to shoot too.
I think they can shoot 2, yes. They also have a deer dog season. They got.
So that changes a lot with pressure.
Oh, no.
And it definitely impacts rut.
Yes.
Like in Wisconsin, a lot of times, you know, the gun season falls on Thanksgiving week. If it falls a little early, you still have some rut activity.
Mhm.
You see that shut down real quick when gunfire starts.
Oh, yeah.
Those deer do not go out and rut all day in daylight when there's heavy pressure.
Right.
They don't.
And the rut was after their gun season.
So, I mean, there's no sign. We saw one little rub. You know that pond right up here? One little bitty rub on a tree like that. Satellite cam, point right at it. We get up, yeah, look,
Yes.
look, we get up to the cemetery, to that old cemetery, sit right there, and we're talking, filming the cemetery, because it was cool. Dude, like 1859 headstones, like crazy, weird. Anyway, and turn around, I'll be damned if it wasn't another satellite cam right there, about 100 yards from the other one.
They have these big lake areas that they overflow into. That was really cool. At the time I was there, it was dried up. The pressure was different with the 4-wheelers there.
We wanted to get away from the 4-wheelers, but when we got on this back edge, as usual here in Mississippi, there's 4-wheeler trails coming through here, as you guys see, and typically it's more tore up than this.
They have 4-wheelers. They can go in anywhere on public land. So if you're on public land, you're going to see some kind of 4-wheel pressure.
Okay. See, I mean, there's places I go where there's trails. And those trails don't bother me at all because I get off the trail a little bit. You can be 100 yards from the 4-wheelers and you still have deer. You still have good bucks. But if those 4-wheelers are going through the woods all over the place, the woods is kind of open, I could see that being a major issue.
It's about 1 o'clock. 12:34 to be exact. And I just got set up. Me, Rick, and Michael come out here and scouted a little bit deeper into this piece this morning. And we found 3 fresh scrapes back behind me, which they went and hunted. We got some big buck tracks down in this bottom that I'm in right now. saw that deer over in the buckbrush over there, and about 15 minutes went by. I've not seen any movement over there. And I just happened to stand up and look out there again, and I caught a glimpse of the deer walking through there again, probably maybe 100 yards to the north of where it was before. What I'm hoping is that it's a buck cruising that inside edge of that buckbrush, working his way around here to me. But I didn't see enough of the deer to be able to tell what it was. That north wind has got the temperatures dropping rapidly. Excuse me. And I'm getting cold. I'm out here in this bottom and it's wide open, and that stuff is shaking this tree, and it is cutting. It's been slow. I mean, it's still fairly early. It's probably 3 o'clock right now, maybe a little after. And confidence is still high. So as you guys have seen, we have a real problem with four-wheelers around basically our home turf, the government land that we Yo. Hey.
It all depends where you are. The way you explained it, having a buck over there 100 yards away, yeah, they get used to the four-wheelers, and that's what we found out down there, is they got used to the four-wheelers. They still had bedding in heavy, thick stuff, and we just had to find that, even though we were in basically the mecca of four-wheel.
Yeah, I don't, the hardest part about the four-wheelers for me wouldn't be that they're there. I think deer can hear them coming, know when they're coming, they just stay off the trail when an ATV's coming across after they go past. They get used to that kind of thing, kind of like a road.
They do.
But the four-wheelers could actually, if they're dog hunting, they can access a lot by getting those four-wheelers on these trails. So I think that could have an impact for how close the deer bed to the four-wheel trails, or whether they put up a four-wheel noise, because if they associate that with dogs coming after them, that could be an issue.
Yeah, I wasn't there during the dog season, but I'm sure that's the case. I don't think anybody wanted to hunt there because there were so many four-wheel people there. We got in the parking lot.
Are they hunting or are they just four-wheeling?
They're just four-wheeling.
They're just out romping.
Right. But, and you can get discouraged if you're hunting and they're driving right by you. But it doesn't mean you're out of the game.
They sure don't. I've seen a lot of people that give up when something like that happens. Somebody walks past them. But you got to remember, if there's a sign there, if somebody walks past you, or that person or that ATV or whatever it is probably does that quite often. The sign's still there. The sign don't lie.
Right.
So the deer might just be waiting till that person goes by. I mean, they cross human trails all the time.
We found a scrape 75 yards away from the main trail.
And with all the four-wheeling, I can't believe it, dude. They just learned to navigate around the four-wheelers.
That's exactly right.
And we just got to figure out how they're navigating around the four-wheelers to intercept them.
The biggest thing is you got to determine if that sign is night or day.
True.
I think we're literally gonna have to get in their bedroom, like get in. My only worry is, are they gonna leave those willows and buckbrush during daylight? That's the question.
The overall rack size and buck size there are smaller than Wisconsin for sure.
Right, so they leave a smaller track. So you got to determine what a big buck track looks like.
Right.
And that's where it helps to be with somebody down here that's familiar with that.
Oh yeah, they knew it well.
Because we're used to seeing buck tracks like this and say, oh,
Right.
that's probably a good buck. And down there, we'd be like, oh my gosh.
Well, found some nice buck tracks in the first rut we've seen down in here. But there's also boot tracks all over the deer tracks, going all the way across there. And that's the access. It's hard to get away from the pressure in the south.
When I first got there, it was late at night, so I just stayed at the hotel. And in the morning, the first day we hunted, I went and met up with Michael, and we discussed where to go, and we ended up going to his lease that he said that probably could be a good spot to hunt.
You did that right out of the truck.
We did talk about it the night before. He said since we don't have an area scouted out, we would start at the lease because he knew the land.
Mm-hmm.
So he pointed me to an area where I can go to set up, and that's what I did that morning. And he went and hunted another spot.
Mm.
I didn't see much that morning, so I got down kind of early. And I started scouting.
I just got this urge to get down. There's a second ridge over here that I want to go take a look at.
Found some scrapes and some rubs, and I hunted it that afternoon, still didn't see anything. Michael.
Super fresh. I'm talking like within the last 24 hours fresh. Pop up in one of these trees right here. I got the wind in my face. I got this sits up a narrow strip. I've got a ditch that runs right here. I've got a thicket over there. And this kind of is a perfect fun. I've got the wind blowing like this. I'm gonna get over the edge here and see if I can get where I can kind of see both sides. So we'll see. Rick is about 300 to 400 yards up on the ridge from me. Between me and him is a ditch. And about a 20-acre sweet gum thicket the deer like to bed on. The wind's blowing in my face here. I got fresh grapes right here. The way this sets up is, I'm set up right on a ditch or a creek, running north and south. This is a narrow strip of hardwoods, sweet gums, poplar, and a little bit of sycamore. This strip is probably about 30 yards wide in here. Then it's another sweet gum thicket. So this kind of funnels the deer. And I hadn't been in here all year, but as soon as I got in here, I started seeing fresh grapes and rubs right here, coming right in and out of where I know they bed. So it's 8 o'clock now. The rut's just getting started here in Mississippi. Hopefully it'll be good. I heard one gunshot about 2 or 3 properties over, so hopefully that means they're moving. All right, it's about 10:40. I hadn't seen any deer. The winds are finally picking up. They're blowing primarily out of the south. It was supposed to be a southwest. As long as they continue to blow southwest, I'll be good. They start getting squirrely on me as far as southeast, and I may have to move, but it seems like they're funneling back in my face here, taking my scent down the creek, which is what I want. Got a couple big scrapes right here. I got one right over there, a nose there. I don't even have to go over there and see it. I got a fresh one right here. It looks like they're traveling like this. I'll show you. Let me get turned around here. Back and forth, down through here. Probably sit here till 11 or so. I'll holler at Rick and see what he wants to do. And then we'll probably ease out here and go get us some lunch and maybe go scout a piece of public. Probably gonna leave my stand here and at least give it another shot this evening right here. There's too much hot sign here not to. And yeah, we'll see. Y'all stick with us. The dang cow had the nerve to bed down on me right here, 50 yards. Boy, does he just don't know how lucky his day is today. If it wasn't for all this deer sign in here, I'd let him have it about right now, but I'm gonna stay reserved today. So I'll continue to let him or her get her nap. Hopefully Big Boy steps out here in a second. It's 11 o'clock now. I'm missing to get down though. I'll go with Rick, see what the game plan is. So y'all stick with us here. We're gonna get one.
And then that afternoon, we met up with Cody, and we devised a plan there to as where we were going to go outside the lease. Then we got on the public.
Our next option was this spot, and you see what we got here. What, 3 trucks? Rick, what do you think? 3 trucks or 4-wheeler trailer?
4-wheelers, unreal.
Y'all ever run into this, Rick?
No,
This?
no, you can't use 4-wheelers on our public land.
It's insane.
That guy looks definitely like a deer hunter. See his muddy sign? Y'all still want to go in here?
Cody did say they're probably not hunting bedding though. If we can get
Yeah, they're
out.
probably not hunting right. We'll,
And the sign was very minimal where we were. We ended up hunting that evening and not seeing anything. So we just kept scouting until we found something.
This is what we do when we're leaving the beer cans. That's fresh shine.
Fresh shine, yeah, to get away from.
And we did get a tip from his sister where she was seeing some bucks. And that's what tipped us to this area. And we decided to go in here, into this spot. And they said it's loaded with four-wheelers. So I'm like, but she saw the deer. Where are they coming from? They were coming from the west. We went in there, we speed scouted, and we found the sign. Even though the four-wheelers were there.
My sister's told me the last couple of weeks or so, she's mentioned that they've been seeing, she lives down the road, and they've been seeing a couple bucks across the road, not far at all from where we're at. As you see in the background, a lot of people love to ride four-wheelers out here, which makes it extremely tough, but we don't think they're riding like in this area.
In the area that we want to scout.
Right, in the area that we want to scout, and, which is probably why the bucks probably got them pushed all up to the front.
Yeah, they know where the four-wheelers are. I'm thinking if there's a real thick area over here with the transition line, we think they're bedded in this area and they cross the street at night.
So we followed those buck tracks in here. And this actually right by the axis. The wind was a south-southwest, which come directly in front of us. And we think that those buck tracks were leading in here from last night for him to come back in here and bed this morning.
We did scout close to the road and found a lot of sign, and we also jumped a doe when we speed scouted that area. So we knew they were bedding close to the road.
So it might just be that they don't come in the field until dark.
Right, right. And we found staging areas, we found beds, so we knew they were in that vicinity.
We're already finding more sign over here. And the parking lot is right there. 150 yards away. I can't wait to see what that other edge holds. And we're finding the trail right here where we got the intel from his sister. From his sister, where they're crossing.
It lines up perfect with the intel, don't it?
It lines up perfect with what they're saying. It does. So I personally felt kind of odd coming into this parking lot. 3 4-wheelers. This is basically a park for 4-wheelers. But I think what we found is with the bucks here, the bucks are here, we found the sign. I don't think other people are hunting it because of the 4-wheeler park. And the deer know it.
Yeah, it's a big discouragement. I mean, even, which we're used to it, like I told you earlier, but it's, you come in here and see them, it's like, you know, crap. I really want to go in here. It's hard to really get motivated to go in after, you know, a bunch of people been riding like that. You know?
Sure.
Like Dan always talks about, those overlooked areas.
Yeah.
Just like that big buck he watched from the parking lot. You know, kind of sets up the same, in a sense.
But yeah, the deer are educated to the 4-wheelers and the hunters. So
Yeah.
So we all kind of got spots picked out. Not quite sure where Cody's going, but kind
The
of
keel hole.
the keel hole.
Some gonna sit on keel.
So we're gonna go back and give it a shot. I think we're gonna see something at least, and maybe it'll set up a plan for tomorrow if we're not close enough.
Yeah, I think but the sign we've seen, like you kept saying, we need to find the sign. I think it's the most sign we've seen in the last 3
Most
days.
concentrated sign
Yeah.
for sure.
So,
And I said we need to follow that transition line, and that's where they all were. So, and it was good that you went in there and kind of walked through that area and jumped that doe.
yeah.
So let's go kill.
All right, I'm gonna get my things on.
Road's 150 yards that way. So I'm 150 yards off the road. We believe that the bucks are bedded behind us in that real thick. Michael jumped the doe over that way about 150 yards. There's a trail right here that goes through here. Has a scrape on it. We have some, they are older, but they're buck rubs up here. Mind you, they saw bucks there last night in the green field eating. So we're hoping they're gonna, I'm thinking they're gonna walk out this way. There's like a soft transition line right here. And that's where I'm hoping they're gonna walk through.
We speed scouted this area. We found a lot of sign. Me and Cody set up close to this sign in this area. Michael then went to another section because we were gonna...
Same area?
Same area, same vicinity.
Probably the same vicinity this buck is coming from,
Right.
his sister's
Right.
seeing.
And he went in and scouted that himself that afternoon and set up.
And I just kind of went in with the wind in my face, kind of gonna just scope the draws out, maybe look at the leeward side like what we talked about, see if I could find any sign. As soon as I got to the first one, it's like some greenbrier and stuff down there, a doe jumped up. Jumped a couple more deer. I think they smell me again because, you know, the wind's in my face.
Sure.
So I just kind of knelt down like this, you know, like what we were talking about.
Yep.
Maybe thinking there was a buck behind her. And sure enough, about just as they topped the other ridge, here he comes with his nose on the ground. So I kind of couldn't get a shot because it's kind of thick, you know. So I ran up and still couldn't get a shot. So I kind of just sat there for a while then and just relaxed for probably 30 minutes or so. Right where I seen the two does and bucks, there was an old wooden stand in a tree that was probably 20 years old, and I was like, this is usually a good spot, you know, when you see that.
Yep.
That's what I've learned.
It does seem that way.
I mean, it's an old wooden stand, probably 8 foot off the ground, rotten, right where the deer jumped up at.
Boy, if that one could talk. It's funny how when you get back in here in these good spots and you see these old deer stands, let you know you're in a good spot. No telling how old that is, and it's right where the deer jumped up from.
I can't say for sure. I keep saying jump them, but
It could have just been being pushed
they
around
could
by
have
the
been
buck.
already been up, you know. I just,
Sure.
just kind of seen them, you know. I think, and like I said, they never smelled me.
Alright, well, I'm finally in my tree. This sets up perfect. I found 2 fresh grapes right here, 20 yards from me. Right out in front of me is really thick bedding. And you'll see, but when you get down on the ground, it's over your head. Up here it doesn't look that thick, but it is really thick. Perfect for bucks or does to bed in. The wind's blowing in my face out of it. I got a cut bean field. 50 or 60 yards to my east here. There's one big clump of trees out there. I guarantee you they're bedded in. Rick is about 1,000 yards to my west or southwest there. Set up on that fresh sign we found earlier. Cody is a little bit deeper than Rick, so we're just kind of hunting this place down. It's the most sign we've seen in the last 3 days, so we're giving it a shot. I'm probably gonna hunt right here in the morning too. I feel pretty good about it, but the wind's supposed to be the same. Who rides four-wheelers during deer season? Alright guys, it's the end of day 3. That's gonna wrap it up for this evening. I'm in a really good spot. I felt like I was gonna see some deer. Got fresh grapes right here. But I haven't seen anything. Did have the four-wheelers go by me earlier, but I'm gonna leave my stuff here. gonna give this a set in the morning. I feel too good about it to not at least give it a sit, so I'm gonna give it a sit in the morning. And I'll pull my stuff down and we'll look for another place if this doesn't pan out. I haven't heard Rick or Cody shoot, so hopefully they'll shoot the next couple minutes though.
He didn't see anything that afternoon, and nor did we, but he hunted it the following morning.
I'm back in the stand this morning. It's a little bit of a delayed morning interview because it's just a touch late getting in. And as I was pulling my gun and stuff up, I heard a deer running behind me and grunting. So I got my gun and stuff, spun the camera around at this thick stuff. And all I could see was their feet running. I got the wind in my back kind of blowing like this. So it sets up good. Got real thick stuff. I'm kind of just cutting this corner of this thicket right here. I should be able to see anything that moves through here. It's December. Well, I think 5th, 4th or 5th. The rut's just getting started here in Mississippi, so this is real thick. It don't look that thick, but it's over your head when you get down. I'm about 20 foot up. Corner. There's some fresh cut beans over there. And the wind is kind of blowing just like that. I'm expecting the movement to be out here. And then behind me in this crap. Oh, really? I got it perfect. Anything out here, I'm in the game for. I mean, anything cruising the downwind side of this edge here, I'm in the game for. So it ought to be good. Got a lot of rain coming in tomorrow, so I'm expecting with this front coming in and a cold front coming in Monday that they ought to be on their feet. So I just shot at a freaking tank. I couldn't get the freaking camera on fast enough. He was moving. I just looked up and seen him right there. I apologize for not getting that on film, but that was a good Mississippi deer. I was just sitting here playing on my phone, and I got a limb right here. Not making excuses, but I can see pretty good. And I just look out of the corner of my eye, and I see him posturing, rat coming through this grass out here. And I'll show you guys what it looks like. So I pulled up. At first I tried to turn the camera, and I was like, screw it, he's walking too fast. I'll never get it, but I wasn't going to let him walk for sure. So I pulled up and shot, and he just stood there, and I was like, well, crap. Slung another shell in it, propped up really good, and when I shot, he tucked his tail, kind of run off. So I'm fingers crossed that I hit him. Couldn't tell for sure. I got the spot marked. Guess what? I only had 2 shells. So I don't have any more 45-70 shells. I'm probably going to ease down here. Go back to the truck. I'm not going to go out there until Rick and them get here. Get my muzzleloader that Cody was using yesterday. Just in case. Again, that wind was kind of blowing that way. He must have stood up out there somewhere. And I shot him. See, you can't really see it, but I shot him right over there. straight behind me. Alright. I'm gonna get down, get back to the truck, and wait on Rick and Cody. I just noticed something. Hopefully this was the first shot. You guys can see it. See that good limb? That was my friend. The buck was right out there. Some crap had to shoot through right there. Let's hope that was the first shot. Maybe why I missed it. $50 yards from the stand. That's funny. That's so weird to me. Man, I hope I got him. Stands right there. There's my truck. Talk all this crap. Hopefully he's laying over there dead.
Yeah, baby! That's what I'm talking about. Let's go check him out. Oh my gosh, he didn't go anywhere, Michael. Whoa, that's awesome, dude. See his white belly right there? He went nowhere. That's awesome. Yeah, watch it. Got a big old body.
That's what he was saying this morning.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's a great boat.
Congratulations, man.
Oh, yeah. That was the second shot, eh?
Ooh, he stinks, man.
That's good. That's good.
Look out.
Look at how big he is, dude.
That's a big man for y'all, like saying, hey, let's go check out the intel. You know, your sister, I would have been down in the, honestly, I'd have been down in the bottom.
Really?
Just because I feel so confident. All right, guys, so here he is. This deer, and persistence pays off. We came in here yesterday off some intel. We've been hunting a couple other places for this is the 4th day. And my sister kept telling me, hey, we're seeing a couple big bucks or nice bucks across the road here around 9 o'clock. So we said, shoot, let's go in here, and we're not finding a lot of sign everywhere else. So let's go in here and see if we can find any signs. So me, Cody, and Rick came in here yesterday, kind of walked the transitions around what we thought would be bedding, and
Oh, a lot of sign.
found a lot of sign. Yeah, I mean, found a lot of sign. We hunted yesterday evening. I decided to leave my stand where it was, and you know, to coming back in here this morning. I got up a little late this morning, came in here. The wind had swapped, was blowing it back out, which was still good. And I was kind of expecting the deer to be bedded out here in this thicker stuff. And about 7:30, he just stood up out of nowhere and shot the first time and hit a limb, apparently. And then shot the second time, and he kind of bowed up a little bit and tucked his tail. And I waited on them to get here, just assuming, I didn't know if I made a good shot or not. And come right here, and we seen this white belly laying here
Yeah.
50 yards from where I shot him.
No, yesterday you had four-wheelers going by you, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, this place gets a lot of duck hunters, a lot of four-wheeler activity here in Mississippi. You can ride a four-wheeler wherever you want. I mean, it's terrible. But the deer are somewhat used to it. Yesterday evening, you guys will see in the video, I had a four-wheeler side-by-side and a four-wheeler 100 yards just blowing back and forth by me. And, you know, a lot of guys that'll discourage, but you can't let it discourage you. You just got to come in here and find the sign, like you kept saying, find the sign, and use your gut instinct and just set up and hunt. Be
and
persistent.
persistent. I mean, there's times we were getting a little negative
Oh yeah.
because of the four-wheelers and the what is it, 20 deer per square mile, 7 does to 1 buck, and to get this is a big deal.
Yep, and like, Sam, we didn't really realize when you asked me that, it kind of sparked me to kind of look up the ratios, because honestly, I've never looked at it. And then when I seen it, I was like, wow, it is, that's why it is so tough here, because our ratios are so poorly. And really, they don't manage our deer population very well here in the state. So this year, actually, in our area, it went from having a rat a limit or a size limit to any hard antler deer. So that hurts us also.
And what down the road is the parking lot for the four-wheelers.
Yeah.
He's like 300 yards from the road. It's just an overlooked spot. It's amazing.
Right
I'm
up
so
next to
happy
the
for him.
road.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we're 300 yards from the road. And I felt really good about this spot. Fresh scrapes and the intel. I mean, we kind of surrounded the bedding area yesterday. I felt like I had to give it at least 2 sets. So
Yeah, the spot over there is probably still good.
yeah. And we didn't need to mention the weather.
Weather.
It's, 65 degrees right now?
Yes.
December 5th, 65 degrees. We've been fighting off mosquitoes the last 3 days.
Yes.
But, so we're going to get this thing cleaned up and get him out of here. This thing killed that deer, really.
100%.
And it was comfy too.
That's sweet, dude.
If y'all got up in here, you'd be like, oh, okay.
So it's always easier in the aftermath. You look back and you say, well, if I could do this, I could do that. But looking at a map beforehand, you'd fall back on what you know from up here or whatever. You get down there, the terrain's different, it's thicker, there's different ways the deer move. And coming back from that, I would imagine, now you got an idea of how they move and stuff and what the terrain looks like. And now you could probably map a lot better and go down there and have a better plan. And for me, like I said earlier with picking the fights I can't win, most of these places I go to, I feel like when the week's over, I was just getting into them. If I had another couple days, I could get them. And if I went back to these places the next year with my knowledge, now I got 2 or 3 spots in there that I think if I would have just went in there and hunted without scouting and boogering everything out, because you don't know the terrain, you don't know where you're walking, and stuff, and you think, I shouldn't have walked over there when you find the sign or whatever. Or you kick the deer out and you realize you went too far. But when you go back a year later, generally that's where you have success. And most people that have success on road trips go back to the same places over and over and over again, and that's why they're having success. So they'll go here, 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 and they just keep rotating through those and having success. It's really hard to go to new areas. Never been there. Scouting could have done in 5 days.
It was hard. Definitely, but I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I learned that
And that's the thing.
speed scouting is a big deal.
It is. It is for me too. I mean, that is what is huge. And I get criticism online a lot. Like, you should have been in a tree all day during the rut. All day? What am I going to just go climb a tree? I got to know where the deer are. You got to scout. You got to take a walk around.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. But
Yeah, I didn't just want to go in there and get up in a tree and start hunting without knowing what I'm hunting. The sign is so sporadic. I mean, you can go for quite a ways without seeing sign. But you have to pick those spots where you know.
no matter where I go, it gets back down to terrain.
Yes.
The sign's got to be in the right spot.
Yes.
Would you go back?
Absolutely. I'm already planning on it.
You already plan on a return trip?
Yes. Yes.
What are we going to call this? Revenge of Rick.
Well, last hunt, it looks like it's wrapping it up here. We just saw the 1 doe and fawn at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Nice sized doe. We didn't see any buck come out or come up the finger. So that's a wrap for Mississippi. We're just walking down this trail, and we just got a big whiff of a stinky ass. You're gonna have to cut that out of the video. We saw this little rub, and directly behind it is a cell cam.
I told Rick, I said, welcome to Mississippi, buddy. We got this little bitty road back behind us.
And he's got a cell camera right now.
Hey man, he's filming us while we filming us, you know.
That's what we kept saying. They were so condensed. Like you really had to be right on top of them to see the side. Like really, because there's not very many, you know.
Right.
So you have to be where they're at.
But Rick, being from Wisconsin, he's not used to seeing persimmon trees like we have down here in the south. And what you see right here is a common persimmon. And the real distinctive thing about these is the bark. They have that checkered bark on them right here. And if you look over here, Rick, look, 1, 2, they're all over there. And there's a patch of them, yeah. And
So it's a patch of persimmon.
always one thing about a persimmon tree is when you find one, there's going to be another one. There's going to be multiple. Why that is, I don't know. But it's probably just from the fruit dropping, you know, what I'm growing. But always, when you find one, there's always going to be another one. This is what we target here in the South early season. Not necessarily the big bean fields, because that's where everybody's going to hunt. We come down here and find the food sources in the woods, you know, and typically they grow along the ditches and drainages, but these are a great early season draw when they start dropping, and they typically start dropping right after the first frost. So
Better than white oak?
similar, because there's not so many persimmons around.
Okay.
When these are dropping, it's like candy. Like you said, they're like little apples. I mean, you know, they're about that big
That
around. and
makes
they
them
drop.
better than white oak because you know where they are.
Right, exactly. They're in very specific locations, and typically they're along these edges, these drainages, like I said, where it's thick. So it's typically something like with the bedding right here behind us. They come right out here and feed them persimmons and stage right here until they go up to the beans and things like that. So
Nice.
really cool stuff. Really something that we, you know, like to target early season for that reason.
Let's call it
Was it white? Was
We'll
it
call
white
it booger from now on. Was it white?
Don't put your hand out over them. It hurts. Michael's looking for some hair.
All right, go ahead. Oh, not yet. Not yet. Go ahead.
Shooting Rick. Go ahead, shoot it, Rick. Shoot it, Rick. We're gonna get up this tree, believe it or not. The both of us. It's a real nasty day and a good day to kill a buck up on his feet. So
Amen, brother.
let's get it on kill. That hurt. You know, Rick's new to Mississippi here. So we were teaching him or showing him what a sweet gum tree was. And we told him little gum balls, the best way I can explain it, it's like little brown balls with little pokey things coming off, little thorns on those.
And they're sticky.
Yeah, they're sticky. Yeah, they drop and they fall. Now, one big thing, if you're just walking through here and you're not like extremely familiar, like I used to do it all the time, like you'll mistake the bark of a sweet gum tree for an oak tree. If you look at it, you know, like a red oak looks a lot like a sweet gum tree here. You know, they look very similar. So, you know, guys, Josh with the Hunting Beast talked about an app called Picture This. Get it. Anytime I don't know what a plane is, I take a picture of it on that app and it tells me exactly what it is. Just like this oak tree right here, ended up being a shingle oak.
Shingle oak.
And I wouldn't
Never
have
seen shingle.
either. I wouldn't have known that without that app. So it's extremely helpful to learn, you know, your botany and stuff out here. So good track right there. I'm trying to see greater creeping spearwort. This looks like what the deer eat. If you see this stuff. That's what they're doing. They're coming through here and nibbling. I mean, if you weren't so persistent on us, about, hey man, gotta find the fresh sign. We probably don't kill a buck this weekend.
No, I wouldn't have went
You know,
there.
probably don't. And
I would have
then,
drove right past it because I knew all the four-wheelers.
and then on top of that,
Yeah, that's a big deal.
yeah, that's one thing. We would have never went into the drop zone. We've had this talk a million times because of the
man,
four-wheelers.
all the four-wheelers, we're not going in there. It's a waste of time.
But the great thing about that comes back to the simple things: the deer sign, the buck sign, and the overlook spots.
Yeah.
Overlook spot. No matter. I mean, we were hunting an area with y'all will see, you know, or if seen in the video, ruts. I mean, just tore up ground like like y'all said the other day. It's like an ATV park out there. 200 yards from the parking lot, Michael kills a mature buck. You know, a great mature buck from Mississippi. You know, so it just shows you it is simple. It just takes a lot of persistence and a lot of want to. You know, you got to have drive to do this. We're Light 'em Up Outdoors. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. You can find us on any of those. Go to the YouTube channel and subscribe, like and comment. Don't forget about that.
Ring the bell, right?
Yeah, there you go. And click that notification bell so you know when we upload.